We will revisit the race for the U.S. Senate in Iowa this morning, specifically the Democratic primary. 4 candidates are in the race vying for the nomination to challenge Chuck Grassley, who's held that job for 41 years. Here are the Democrats who want to deny Grassley an 8th term in the Senate: Abby Finkenauer, Michael Franken, Glenn Hurst, and Bob Kraus. Now let's follow the money in this Senate primary. This is the cash on hand in campaign accounts at the end of the third quarter. The candidates haven't filed their fourth quarter financial reports yet. Kraus and Franken joined the race in the fourth quarter, so there's nothing for them at this point. Finkenauer has almost $600,000 in the bank for the campaign. Hurst far behind that at $32,000. Again, this is at the end of the third quarter. Even Finkenauer's money pales in comparison to the more than $3 million Chuck Grassley has ready to spend this election cycle. Now, we introduced you to Abby Finkenauer last week. We will focus on Michael Franken this morning. He grew up in western Sioux County, spent a lot of his childhood in Lebanon. Franken earned his bachelor's degree in engineering from the University of Nebraska, then got a master's in physics from the Naval Postgraduate School, and went on to do some advanced studies at MIT, the University of Virginia's Business School, and the Brookings Institute. Now, Michael Franken spent his career in the Navy, more than 36 years in the military. He retired 5 years ago as a 3-star admiral. Franken was the first military officer to work for Senator Ted Kennedy. At one point, he became the chief of legislative affairs for the Navy. 4 candidates in the Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate race in Iowa each bring distinct resumes to this campaign. Michael Franken is out to prove he's got the right stuff in his second time around. Retired Admiral Michael Franken joins us for a conversation. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll get to some policy later. Let's start with a few political aspects of this race. It's your second go in the Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate. You didn't get the win for the nomination 2 years ago. I'm sure that disappointed you. Why should this be any different? What did you learn from that last campaign to convince Democrats that they should nominate you this time?
Well, second time around, yes. There's many great, I think, politicians did their best the second time around. Matter of fact, your Lincoln did that very same thing. So you learn the do's and the don'ts. You learn what's really important. I was focused mostly on policy issues almost exclusively last time, and I come to find out that people are most concerned about how much money you raise in the U.S. process of the political machines. And so we're concentrating more on raising the necessary funds to get our name out. As it is, you can talk to 20 people and they can absolutely adore your concepts, but if you're not on TV, such as this station, people don't know of you and don't hear of you, and consequently they don't vote for you.
I don't think people necessarily want you to have money, but of course it does take money to compete, so you make a solid point there. Now, when I spoke with you a couple of years ago, I do remember that you told me you decided to run for Senate at that time because Donald Trump was president. Donald Trump is no longer president.
No.
Why are you running now?
Well, January 6th was a pivotal moment in my life, having spent almost 40 years defending the United States, our way of life, our quality of life, extant to the United States. I see a rather haunting, almost cancer within the United States. And I believe that because of the series of jobs I've had, the education I've had, where I'm from, rural Iowa, the experiences I've had in legislature as President Obama's Chief of Legislative Affairs for the department, and a few other jobs in Washington, D.C. and worldwide, that the old adage, if not me, who, comes into play. And I think this is a continuation of service, so I had the calling to return.
Let's bring back that run from a couple of years ago. It was clear in that 2020 primary. Democratic Party did get behind Teresa Greenfield with big money from D.C. Democrats. You just mentioned, like, that money is important.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know if they'll try to influence the primary outcome this time, but Abby Finkenauer already served in Congress, had $500,000 of cash on hand at the end of the third quarter. Now, we don't know where you or anyone stands at the end of the fourth quarter, because the deadline hasn't happened yet and you haven't filed yet. But you should have some name recognition among Democrats. People should remember you from a couple of years ago, like it or not, though you are an underdog again. How do you overcome the legislative experience and money that Finkenauer has? You probably have to put her as the favorite at this point.
Well, legislative experience, sure. I have a resume that's long and multifaceted, something that I don't think any other candidate in the United States has. And that is worth something, I would expect, from the high technology applications I've experienced, management of large organizations, thousands of individuals across a great expanse of land. I started a defense agency that had union employees and a multi multifaceted mission across many states and many countries. So my experience as a manager, and also the ability to work across the aisle, because I've done that, had to do that in multiple administrations, and the fact that I have national security credentials that are unrivaled by any candidate in the United States.
We'll step away from the conversation for a moment. More with the Admiral on the way. Coming up, Biden's agenda, where Michael Franken stands on big spending programs. For the Record.